gonna say you might not want to do that. You just launched it off the cliff. It's a long ways down. What do you have to say for yourself?
I hope it got on camera.
I didn't know.
Real honest reviews. Really?
It's a little ways down there. You're looking at about a 10-foot drop.
Throw this in the garbage. Oh, super versatile and one of my favorite trucks of all time.
I am driving pretty badly on purpose.
It got on camera. Come on, wouldn't you trust this face?
All right, freshly arrived from the UPS guy. The brand new Axial RR10 bomber, which basically, from what I've read, is a redesigned Wraith. It's got some new knuckle stuff done to it. It basically is using an AR60 axle that they've done a few modifications to. One thing that's pretty cool about this design, it's got a trailing arm setup on it like the Yetis do, but it's solid axle front and rear, whereas our Yetis are independent front suspension. So I picked this up primarily because there's a little bit of hype around it, and it's got some really cool features that I really wanted to see. I've been running Axial trucks for a long time. Some of their stuff is kind of cheesy, like the plastic trailing arms on the Yeti was really terrible. But I generally like what they do for the hobby of scale and things like that. So I actually own 2 Yetis now. I love racing them. I have upgraded them so my son and I can play. And I was interested in seeing how this would do as a racer / maybe C3 type truck. And I really just wanted to check out what was new from Axial, because I always like to see what's new from them. So let's get this thing tore open and see what it's all about. Here we go. Oh man, they don't want me in it. I'm in Adam's shop, so I don't always know where everything is. You know Adam as the other guy in our video series. He and I work together on this stuff. He's at work, and this is my job. All right. Just make a mess here. So while I'm doing this, let me look at this box and see what some of the features are. Looks like comes ready to run, 35 turn brushed motor. Got the Tactic servo. It's only 151 ounce servo, so I'll probably change that. But it does claim that everything's waterproof. 3-channel receiver, and it says high-low transmission, so that's pretty cool. I really like the look of these King shocks. It comes with that's probably where your extra cost comes in, is having these branded names in there. So it's got the King shocks and the new HD Wild Boar shaft. So let's see what we got in here. Typical plastic bits. That's good. Extra drive shaft parts because we know we're going to break them. Got some scale, like motor items and stuff like that. That's kind of cool. Looks like diff cover or extra diff housing pieces. Have to figure out what those are all about. And your typical Axial helmets. Ready? Let's see. Got the radio. It's not an Axial radio. It's actually a Tactic radio. Ooh, wow, that wheel is tiny. First impressions of that are it kind of feels like a toy. It's very, the wheel is very tiny in my hand. The movement's good, but it just, honestly, it kind of feels a little bit, just a little bit toyish. Let's see. Alrighty. It's so shiny and beautiful. So those blue parts that were in there were all pieces for the King shock, it looks like. It's got the typical, the trailing arm setup is the same plastic trailing arm that the Yeti RTR came with. So those are going to need upgraded. Obviously they're weak. I mean, you can bend them already, but for now it'll be fine. I like what they did. Oh, I know what those extra diff cover pieces were. They're extra pieces for pass-through axles. These axles come with covers so you can make like a 6x6 axle. So I do remember reading about that. It's got the fake fuel cell thing in the back like the Yeti had. I like the newly designed axles, or knuckles. I mean, they got rid of that big goofy thing that was always on the AR60 steering knuckles. I don't know if you can see this. Let me try to get it over here in the light a little better. Hold on, bear with me. I'm trying to do it here. Okay, focus. So there, you can see they got rid of that big behind the axle thing that nobody ever really used anyhow on these knuckles. So it now fits a little better inside the wheel. Still tight clearances on these wheels. I like the feel of these tires just out of the box. They are way better than the RTR Yeti tires were. So that's good. Sorry about that. They're a lot more sticky. They got some good grip to them. I think they're probably going to work pretty well. They're the BF Goodrich Baja TAs. They're definitely better than the ones that came on the Yeti. The Yeti ones were very stiff. Didn't like them at all. Thing's got some monstrous flex out of it. Nice. Does have good flex. It's not super wide like some of the Wraiths were. The wheels are very inset on them. These look like the... Can't tell. I'm trying to see. These are glue-on wheels, not bead lock. So comes with a glue-on. Let's get these pins. I always like these pins that have the little clip on them for my big old gorilla fingers. That hood's cool. Hood opens up. One of the first things I think we're going to design is an electronics tray for up in here. The interior's pretty cool. Could easily use those in another scaler. It's got some decent detail to it, and it would count as a 3D interior in there. So that's pretty cool. Spare tire on the back. The balance is good. It's got some good balance to it. Looks like an updated skid. They changed out the skid from a standard Wraith skid. I'm going to need to tear this down. We'll do that in another video. I like this. Kind of gives it the little oil pan look right there. When I very first saw that this thing was coming out, and I said, oh look, it's a trailing armed Wraith. And then I remembered, hey, I think Speedwagon Customs made a trailing armed Wraith, complete with an oil pan like that, about 4 or 5 years ago, maybe even more than that. Some of his videos, he's got the same kind of setup, so they probably saw that with it. Different axle hookups here. Set up for a torsion bar. It doesn't look like it came with one, which is kind of silly. You would think that it would, being the type of rig that it is. There's a lot of pieces in here, so I'll dig in the book and see what it's got and what we come up with. But for now, there's the initial thoughts. It's got the typical plastic stuff that is probably going to wear out, that everybody will replace. But it is ready to run, so that's expected. Tires seem pretty cool. I like the way it looks. It's got some nifty little scale stuff done on it. We can really scale it out here and make it look cool. And I like the front mounted battery already. Good that they got that set up. So I'll get a battery in this and we'll go drive it and see what it looks like. Here we are, first run. I put a 2-cell in it. I think it's going to be a dog on 2-cell with the 35 turn. Let's see. Oh yeah, crawler dog. Does have some crazy torque twist. Those tires are good and sticky though. Definitely not a racer. Kid start speed. I think it'd be good for a kid getting started out or something. Oops, killing out of trees. See how sticky these tires are. Wow. Tires are sticky, that's for sure. Can't probably get over a step though.
Almost.
Not enough snot for that. Skid's just too big. Alright. 3-cell. It's got good brakes. Three-cell wakes it up a little bit, but it's still not a racer. The servo is having a little bit of a hard time turning those big old tires quickly. Whoops.
It's the driveway that gets you.
Yeah, the tires are definitely sticky once they roll right over. Of course, we had to tear into it to see what it looks like underneath. So I've taken out the interior tray. Basically, screws on the cage and the whole roof flips up. Oops, whole roof flipped up, and then the 4 screws held the interior thingy in place. And there you go. 35 turn, just silver can in there. Yeti transmission with that transfer case thing, and then they got the Axial speed control mounted to the top of the waterproof box there. So, kind of basic. Spare Time Hobbies is already designing a rear light bar, front light bar, and a front electronics tray, so you can move your electronics further up if you want and get them a little lower so they're not up that high. So, cool. So we brought the Bomber out here to Palmer Park in Colorado Springs. As you can see, amazing stuff to crawl on. So we're going to try this out to see how it crawls. I don't think it's really fast enough to be a racer out of the box per se. It's kind of more like the Wraith was, but I think it's going to be a pretty good crawler. The tires seem like they're pretty sticky, so we're going to go see what it can do as far as that goes. So
through that valley.
Sure. See that torque was really bad. And I was gonna say, you might not want to do that. You just launched it off the cliff. That's a long ways down. What do you have to say for yourself?
I hope it got on camera. I like to do brake tests, so that was a good way to brake test it. I guess I'll go down there and see if it's broken.
It's a little ways down there. You're looking at about a 10-foot drop.
I want to be okay.
Still driving.
I
Doesn't look
want
broken. Landed on its wheels.
to get quiet.
I can't get back up there.
Good thing I wasn't a wall fall. He won't be killed.
And he didn't fall.
Did it just land on its wheels when it went down?
Kind of tumbled a little bit.
Didn't break anything. That's good.
Yeah.
Give Axial points there.
Very cold outside.
These tires aren't as grippy as I thought they were. This is very sandy.
Dad?
Alright, bud.
Dog.
Alright. Hi, puppy.
Daddy, I'm the bears and they got puppies over there.
I think you can make a decent class 3.
It just needs a bigger motor.
The trailing arm setup leaves a lot of torque twist in it. So with a sway bar, it probably would help with the torque twist. Seems to crawl pretty good though.
It's not bad. We were talking about the sway bar. You can see the rear axle is already set up with some mounting points, and on the back side of the cage right here you can see where the sway bars would go. So it's set up for it. You just got to really attach basically the sway bars from a Yeti, and it should help with the torque twist to make it perform a lot better.
I might steal one off of a Yeti and throw it on just to see how it does, because it really wants to pick that left front wheel a lot when you're trying to crawl. I mean, it needs a little bit of a tunability, but it's a fun basher right out of the box. It obviously took a pretty good beating with us here today. We're running on 3-cell. 2-cell is incredibly boring. So threw it on 3-cell, bashed it around on the rocks of Colorado. Does pretty good. So I'm impressed. I like the upgrades that they did to the AR60 axles. They seem a lot sturdier than they were before. It looks like they changed up the diff cover a little bit. The knuckles are a little more heavy duty. They don't have quite as much slop in them. They added a lot more material to them. It looks like they added more material to the steering link in the front too. The old Wraith ones would bend under pressure. This one seems to hold up a lot better. Still the RTR trailing arms that they did on the RTR Yeti that I hated. I still don't like them, but at least this isn't brushless and ripping them apart. So it'll hold up, but they'll definitely get changed later. It needs to have the aluminum supports like they do in the kit. So as typical, if you buy the kit, you get less plastic and more good, but we bought the ready to run and pretended to be kids. So
Always fun.
thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed it.